What would you do if you saw a UFO? What if you had a crazy story, but you were supposed to be the authority? What if your credibility was on the line? Today we test the believability of the UFO chase to the Pennsylvania border.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
And tell you whether or not it's believable. This is episode number 1, dude.
Yeah.
Numero uno.
I feel like this took forever to pick the subject, because I'm like...
It's the first one.
I know, it's gotta be really good. I think this one's good.
People might bounce as soon as this is done and never come back.
Oh, man. No pressure.
No pressure, so I hope you knock it out of the park here.
I picked this one out.
We should say this, I guess. I'm Tyler.
I'm Charlie.
And this is Believing the Bizarre. Paranormal Conspiracies and Myths, but we leave that part out. That's just kind of, like, it's assumed. You get it, right? Like, that's what else do you expect it to be about?
Well, thank you for joining us on our inaugural episode.
That's right. And the good news is for you is if you love it, this will be a weekly episode. It'll come out every Tuesday of the week.
Yes, it will.
But because we want you to get used to it, because we want you to let you kind of sink your claws into it a little bit, first 3 episodes are going to be released day 1, so you can
simultaneously.
A little binge-a-thon.
So, are you ready to get started?
Let's dive right in.
The only way this story is plausible from Dale Sparr's perspective is if whatever he chased that night was a conscious being, meaning it was not a comet, a meteor, or some kind of heavenly body.
Are we going to ask him at the end of the episode if he thinks it's believable, viable, skeptical, or unbelievable? Does he get a vote?
Dale, he died in 1983.
Well, shit.
Spoilers. So I think he believes it.
Okay.
So what that means is if they see us, they recognize us as being alive. Like I said, Dale Sparr passed away in 1983, and that was 17 years after this initial incident.
So was that the 60s?
It was actually 66.
Was that 66? That was on the tip of my tongue, I promise.
It was. However, within the same year as his encounter, we're going to get to the actual encounter soon.
Yeah, we're beating around the bush a little bit, but you're kind of building the suspense.
I'm trying to.
I feel it.
So after this initial encounter, the UFO found him again. He was living in a hotel in Solon, Ohio, which incidentally is one of the best school districts in the United States.
It's a very chronologically interesting way you're telling this. So we find out it came back before we find out it came.
I did, yeah.
It came twice before it came once.
If you want to put it like that, yeah.
Well, that's the way you're putting it.
No, I'm jumping to the future.
Okay.
To get trust me.
I'm on board. I'm just interjecting where it feels necessary.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, you're right though. You're right. You're not wrong. So you're right.
Okay.
So let's start 1966. Hendrix is playing Woodstock. I don't know what year that was.
69, right?
Oh,
summer of 69.
Then it's on its way.
Yeah.
All right.
They're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Dale Sparr was a Portage County Sheriff's deputy. Before he took this job, was a stock car racer. I did a lot of research. I could not find a lot about Dale.
Where's Portage County?
Portage County is Ohio. I can see it on a map, but it's hard to describe. So Portage County is north of Akron. It's Solon, Ravenna. I believe he was stationed out of Ravenna, if I'm remembering that correctly. So he's like a sheriff's deputy in that county. Can you add any more to that? Where Portage is? Dude,
I don't know. My sense of direction is abysmal.
You go through it when you go through Route 8.
That's probably not what people are holding on to anyways.
No.
I was just curious because I thought this was in Pennsylvania. That's why I was like, oh, I know of a Portage County.
No, it's Portage County, Ohio, actually. So him and his partner. Is that how you say that? His partner himself?
You can say boyfriend if you want. This is 2020.
His Sheriff's County partner. They were on patrol from, I believe it's like 12 to 8, like midnight to 8 a.m.
Oh, that third shift. The graveyard shift.
He's working that third shift. So nothing has happened. He's just been having coffee, sitting with his partner, probably kissing. They're on patrol. And they get a call at a little after 5 a.m. There's a small pickup truck that's rusted out, and in the back of it, it's full of radio equipment.
Okay.
I'm
with you.
His partner's name is Neff, by the way.
Neff?
Neff. Neff.
What is that short for?
It's his last name.
Okay.
Neff.
I was going to say, that's his first name. Shame on his parents.
Neff.
That's his middle name.
So, okay. I have a little side quest. Can you bear with me?
Yeah.
All right. So, I think that this truck was not actually what they saw. Now, maybe it was, but I have a hunch, and how the events unfold, this was actually, like, a psychic cover for some kind of, like, it's like some kind of guise. That maybe it was not actually a truck. Maybe it was a piece of the UFO that was, like, psychically, like, veiled, and the only place they could work on it was this, like, middle of nowhere road.
Okay, so they put on, like, some type of, like, holographic projection or whatever you want to call it to disguise it and make it look like a truck.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because, like, how did
They pulled out the encyclopedia. They were just flipping, what should we make it look like? How about a bush? No, a truck. But not just a truck. Gotta put some radio shit in it.
Well, that's what's weird about it. Like, why radio stuff? Why is this rusted truck full of radio equipment? It can't be like a radio station's truck. It's just some guy.
They should have did Bush. You know what they did was, they had one of those, they had like the alphabetical encyclopedias, and they pulled out the T for truck. They passed right by B. Or tree. Well, they could have did tree.
Maybe they just couldn't, like, cover that metal sensation.
Maybe. It was primitive for them back in the 60s.
Yeah, right. Alright, so, that being said, they're poking around this truck, right? And as they're poking around, they see a ship appear above the trees.
What kind of street are they on? Is it like a rural road?
It's like a rural route.
Rural route.
It's
a real rural route.
Yeah, because Portage County is not a huge...
Is it like Ravenna?
It isn't. Ravenna is in Portage.
Oh, okay, then I got you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so they're looking at this truck. They're looking at all this radio technology, Sirius XM, and then this UFO appears above. It rises from the trees.
Above the tree line.
Gotcha.
Yes. And it is, I don't know how familiar with types of UFOs you've seen. No, not you, but like how many types of UFOs?
Are you talking to the audience? Or, because I know there's like the cigar.
Yeah.
There's
a cigar, there's a Mexican hat, which is just flat and like a bump.
Sombrero. I think it's
sombrero. There's also the double pie tin, which is what this was most like.
Who named spaceships?
I don't know.
It sounds like, I don't know what it sounds like. But they did not get a degree in alien technology.
No, they were not an English major.
No.
So it's the double pie tin. So it's like two pie tins stacked on top of each, not like inside each other, but like flipped on top of each other.
I feel like that's a fairly stereotypical.
It is.
They're probably like, guys, not all of our spaceships look like that. Jeez.
I know, right? So as they're... Well, actually, there's a theory that different spaceships are different races.
Okay.
So as they're reporting that they see this into their station, a flash of light. It's like as bright as daylight. Flashes. It drowns out their headlights in their car. And it like spots on them. And they're told by their, not authorities, what's it called?
Commanding officer.
Commanding officer.
He's like, is this Neff? am I speaking with Neff?
He says, wait there. There's a not radio car, video car coming to videotape the situation. As soon as that happens, the UFO ship takes off. They're going down 223 to Route 14, and they're chasing the spaceship.
So they get told to wait.
Yeah.
And then Dale looks at him and says, Neff.
And he punches it.
Yeah.
So they're going over 100 miles down Route 14 through little towns like...
I thought you were going to say 100 miles per hour, but you mean 100 miles.
No, 100 miles per hour.
Oh, I thought you just meant they traveled 100 miles.
No, they actually traveled like 83 miles altogether.
Do you think at any point in that 83 miles they were like, should we stop? Or like, what if Neff had to pee? Do you think he just held it?
I don't think Dale cared if Neff had to pee. I'll tell you that right now. So they go through like little towns like Deerfield, Ohio, and North Bend, Ohio. They're small little towns. Like I've never even heard of them. Have you?
Deerfield?
Deerfield.
No, it sounds about right though.
I know, right?
We are from Ohio,
yeah.
Which is neither here nor there, but it is.
It just happens to be the first story.
Yeah. Why not?
I'll tab my source right now. I'm using my main source is James Renner's. It came from Ohio for this piece.
Not Wikipedia?
Not Wikipedia.
That's like all my stuff.
I used a book. I used the book for this one.
A real book, not like an audio book.
Well, it's a thin book.
Okay. Oh, yeah, James.
They're short stories. It's fine. So it's been like 45 minutes into their chase, right? I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if they're having a conversation like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on in their
I would
heads.
love to be in that car.
A fly in that cruiser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if they were just having the most casual conversation?
I can't imagine.
I saw your wife at Bobby's house with some apple pie yesterday.
I think at one point in the book he mentions a 44. I just imagined like Neff's just like, I should shoot it. But he didn't. He did not shoot at the object. But about 45 minutes in, Patrolman Wayne Hudson from East Palestine, Ohio, also joins this chase. It's been 45 minutes down Route 14. Now, 3 police officers are now chasing this UFO down Route 14.
Okay. Was it a black spaceship?
Ha!
Well, it couldn't have been. You said they didn't shoot.
Wow.
Welcome to episode 1, ladies and gentlemen.
I know, right? So, they get a couple miles past the Pennsylvania border, and they start to sputter out because they're out of gas.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. That might happen.
They ran out of gas, so they pull into this.
Both of them.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Well,
both cars at the same time lose gas.
I think the guy from East Palestine pulls him behind him just to, like, talk to him.
He chickened out.
I think he could have gone farther, probably. They pull in, they're getting gas, and then another police officer, Frank Penzella, from Conway, Pennsylvania, comes in to the gas station and talks to them and confirms that he also saw this spaceship fly by them. So now we have 4 police officers confirming separate incidents of seeing this spaceship. I'm sorry, UFO. We actually don't know if it's a spaceship. It's a UFO.
Right. Could have been government technology.
It could have been military.
Yeah.
Probably not. It's probably an alien, but it's fine. So the cover for this actual story. The government came in after they gave the reports and they said, guys, you know how you just chased that spaceship? You didn't chase the spaceship. You chased the planet Venus.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what they were told their cover was. Which, I don't know about you. Have you seen the planet Venus in the sky?
It looks a little brighter than a star.
Yeah.
Very similar to Mars.
I have not chased the planet Venus for over an hour at 100 miles an hour.
That would, like, indicate either drug use or, like, the next thing out of his mouth should have been, you're fired. Like, if I were to believe that an employee of mine was chasing a planet, I'd say, you can turn your box and your gun and your badge in. Like, I mean, how do you even make that? Like, this isn't like 1,000 years ago. This is, what, 60 years?
66.
So, like, 60 years ago. Somebody literally told police officers that they were chasing a planet, which does move, but...
Not to that extent.
Like, could you imagine, like, I'm chasing a star. Like, that's just so... That's what's unbelievable. If there's anything unbelievable, that's unbelievable.
Like I said at the top, there's no way this story can make sense if what they were chasing was a heavenly body.
It moves, but it moves at such a slow...
It
would be like chasing the Big Dipper. It's like, it's still there. We're getting... But then that would just... Okay, so continue.
Yes. Okay.
I'm flabbergasted.
So, months later, not even years later, months later, Spar has now...
Dale, right?
Dale Spar. So Dale Spar has now been... It's been a couple months since, and he's now been arrested for spousal abuse, for shaking his wife and trying to convince her that he is not crazy. He saw this thing, which, in my opinion, not the best strategy.
Did the shaking her convince her that he wasn't crazy?
It did not. Actually, it just put him to jail.
Oh, well.
Actually, while he's in jail from that, his son and his wife have now left him.
Was her name Venus?
No, it's not.
Very ironic.
I actually didn't catch her name. After he got out of jail, he took residence in a stolen hotel, and he's living off cereal and like deli meat. He's not doing great.
But he's in a good school district.
He's in a great school district. Maybe he could do a DARE program. So this is still 66, and he's caught up with by a reporter. And the reporter gets that he called the UFO Floyd after his middle name.
He named the UFO Floyd
after his middle name.
Yeah, he's nuts. So wait, it's Dale Floyd. What's it? I don't know.
Spar.
Spar. Okay. Dale Floyd Spar. Very one syllable.
It is.
There.
It
Good for him.
seems very much like a police officer's name.
I don't know what that means.
So, a couple years after this chase, his life's ruined. He moves to West.
I like how you just slide. Yeah, he's. But
no one's ever chased an alien and their life been good.
Nobody's ever chased Venus either.
So he's now moved to West Virginia, and sometime during this move, he's hiking, and he gets injured. Actually, so this right now is the most interesting part of the story. He's hiking. He's injured. He gets sent to the. He's taken to the hospital. Not sent to. No one said go to the hospital.
Like a principal.
Yeah.
The hiking trails principal.
He was taken to the hospital. He's comatose, right? A nurse sat with him every day until one day.
Wait, he's in a coma from hiking?
I think he fell like down the mountain or something.
Okay.
He hurt himself. He's injured.
Like mentally, like head. He had a head injury.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's comatose.
I was expecting a leg injury for some reason, but continue.
So a nurse is sitting with him every day until one day she runs out of his room screaming, saying he's been possessed by an alien. I don't know what he did. It didn't say in the book. She's freaking out. She never went back in his room again. About 2 days later, he wakes up. And then he moves back to Lakewood and opens a bar.
Oh. So he's in... Well, he wasn't like... He died in the 80s.
He died in 83.
So, very interesting. I wonder if the nurse's name was Venus. That would... But, so... A very interesting phrasing. Like, let's, like... Think context. Us talking about this story, it would make sense to hear he was possessed by an alien. But that's under the context that you understand that this episode is about a UFO.
Yeah.
Very, very bizarre phrasing.
She did not know that it was about his alien encounter, by the way.
But that makes it even weirder, because when you think of possession, it's typically demonic. Ghost-like activity,
Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind is...
You think she knew that? I mean,
I don't know.
Seems very bizarre. It seems like almost like a too convenient of a fact. Oh, he's possessed by aliens. That seems very bizarre to me.
Although maybe they're just like talking through his body about things he did not know.
We're not Venus, we're aliens. And she's like, oh my god.
Maybe it's like coordinates, or just alien gibberish, honestly, but that could have been taken.
Our ship's so dope. It could have been like talking in tongues, speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if there's two things I'm holding on to here that do not make sense to me, it's the commanding officer saying that they were chasing Venus and her saying he was possessed by ... aliens. Is there a wrap up, or is that
is the end?
Okay.
Dale Spar died in 1983 after his incident with a UFO on Route 14, the alien chase to the Pennsylvania border.
So the story that you were going to tell us first, which was the second, was in the hospital?
Yeah, that was the hospital story.
Okay. So, but him waking up, he was fine?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So the way we take it from here, which we won't explain every time, now is when we discuss it. This, the show's called Believing the Bizarre, so we're going to talk about it and discuss whether or not we believe it. And we are going to put each episode in one of 4 categories. From most believable to most unbelievable. It goes believable, viable. So, we're not 100% sold, but we're leaning more towards believable. Skeptical, which I should not have to explain that word to you. And then if something just outright ridiculous. Unbelievable. But that doesn't mean we won't tell you about it.
Yeah. It's like a non-numerical scale. It's just like where we feel on it.
We're going to hash it out.
Yeah.
And it might change later, but for today, we'll see. So, I believe that they were chasing something. I do not believe it to be... There are parts of this story that I don't think make sense and are kind of stupid. Which is funny, because both things that I do not believe happened are 2 things that have nothing to do with the UFO. It's the lady saying they was possessed by an alien, and it was the guy, the police chief or whatever, saying that they were chasing Venus.
I don't think he thought they were chasing Venus. I think it was just some really bad cover.
I'm saying that was like, those are the things that I don't buy, but it's ironic that the 2 things I don't buy were completely human.
Yeah.
Created. Human, done by human. And that's funny, because I'm like, yeah, they were chasing a spaceship, but possessed by an alien?
Well, okay, so for me, the biggest factor in the believability of this case is there are 4 cops. that agreed individually they all saw an UFO.
Very trustworthy people.
Absolutely.
The most trustworthy.
Well, it's not like we have a protest going on right now against them.
Absolutely not.
But in the 60s, that's nuts.
Yeah, they were more honest back. But it's here's where I'm agreeing with you on this, is that there's a certain level of credibility.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't even really have to do with authority. It's just the fact that it's like four guys getting together in any profession and then telling their officer, their higher authority, that they witnessed this thing. It's a level of credibility. If you really believe this to have happened, I don't think you would say it if you made it up. Because what do you have to gain from that?
Gain nothing. And if no one believes you, which they really didn't, you lose everything.
And you're 83 miles from home, so you have to drive. Imagine that drive back. We were talking about the drive there. And he's like, so remember that thing we were chasing?
It was awkward. I'm sure it was awkward.
5 minutes ago. Remember when I asked you to fill up the tank before we left Neff?
I think Neff did a lot of stuff.
I think Neff messed up.
Yeah.
So I'm skeptical about what he said, which I think is part of the story. I think you're supposed to be skeptical about the Venus comment. I don't buy what the nurse said, but I would categorize this story for me as believable.
All the way?
Minus the two things I said. I believe that 4 officers in Ohio in the 60s chased something in the sky and they don't know what it is. I believe that.
Listen, I buy the nurse story. I think that's so interesting. Like, she didn't know anything. Why'd she just go alien? She didn't know anything. I think this story altogether is viable.
Viable?
Yeah.
So what makes you say viable instead of believable, just out of curiosity?
So the only thing that keeps me from saying this is 100% believable was because there are no other witnesses to the craft.
Yeah.
There are, no, don't get me wrong, there was like radar that evening that picked stuff up that they weren't sure what it was in neighboring areas. But no one else came out and said, Dale's right, I saw this thing. I live in Deer Park. It flew by.
Did they say what time this took place? If you mentioned it, I forgot.
Yeah, I did. It's early morning.
Early morning,
but
okay.
Not so early. People wouldn't be going to work. It's 5 a.m. About 45 minutes, 5:45 in the morning. People going to work by then. Contractors and stuff.
All right, I'm going to keep my believable because that was my gut instinct, but I have to say that there's one fact that now seems a little ridiculous. If you're flying, you don't have to follow a road. That's
true unless they wanted it to be followed.
Which I imagine they didn't, but
are you sure about that?
Why, if they would go through the trouble of trying to disguise their spaceship as something else, why would they choose to be followed for 83 miles?
Why wouldn't they just go up? Maybe it was fun for them. I don't know. Aliens are crazy, man.
I'm just saying the fact that in my mind I was thinking of it like a chase, like, oh, we're chasing them.
That's how I presented it.
But I like that because I like the thrill, the suspense of a chase. But I guess the issue would be like all they had to do was take a left, and they're like, shit, like, Neff, turn. There's no road there, Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit crazy, but I'm gonna stick with it, and that's okay. You'll see it when we post it. So you are standing by viable.
Viable. I think it's viable.
And I'm gonna say believable. Besides the commanding officer, chief, and the nurse, but I won't make those distinctions. So that is our first episode of Believing the Bizarre.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So this episode is going to be very representative of what Believing the Bizarre episodes are going to be going forward. We're going to present a case. One of us is going to tell it in detail, tell the story, and we're going to break down whether or not we find it believable. We have a whole list of topics, a whole list of ideas. Again, you're getting 3 episodes today. After today, it'll be once a week. If you guys have a story, personal, something unique to your hometown, hit us up.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody, aliens, Bigfoot, that type, everybody talks about that kind of stuff. And we'll get to it because there's a reason everybody talks about it. It's very interesting. And even with all these people talking about it, it's still very unknown. But we would love to jump into some of the discussions and topics that we might not know about that are native to where you're from.
We are from Ohio, and this is an Ohio story, but that's not the point of this podcast. We just want to look at all things that are just kind of strange in general.
Yes. So, bizarre stories, unique stories, paranormal, any story you have that's yours personal, something to your hometown, something you heard about on the deep interweb, hit us up at believingthebizarre@gmail.com, and your story could be on the podcast.
Thank you for listening. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Tyler, and join us on our next episode of Believing the Bizarre.